Good morning. My name is Helene Tischler. Today is February 12th, 2018. I'm here at the Newton City Hall Law Library with Shirlee Isenberg, who's graciously consented and volunteered to be interviewed by us. Together, we're participating in the Newton Talks Oral History Project that's being conducted with the Newton Free Library, Historic Newton, and the Newton Senior Center. Thank you so much, Shirley, for being with us today.
I'm happy to join you.
So, can you tell me where you're from originally and how you came to live in Newton?
Oh, I grew up in Brookline, Massachusetts, and when I met my husband, he was a veteran. And so we had the privilege, and also he lived in Newton, so we had the privilege of looking at a map of a new area being developed, Oak Hill Park.
Oh.
And there was a map, and I think we chose lot 52, which, and whatever that one I may remember, but it meant we would be living at 11 Calden Path, Oak Hill Park in Newton. And that was the beginning of a wonderful experience for us. You had to be a Newton veteran, and my husband had been all through Africa and Italy.
Wow.
And was the nicest of gentlemen.
That's amazing.
Other than that, I have nothing else to report.
Well, what year was it that you moved to Oak Hill?
It must have been 1942, I think.
Okay, and was it on the GI Bill that he got there?
Or you had to be a Newton. You had to be a veteran in order to be able
to
live
apply.
in Newton. And then there was a map, and we pointed to, I think, number 42, which meant that we would live at 11 Calden Path, Oak Hill Park.
Okay. Are you still at Oak Hill Park?
Not for a long time.
Oh, okay.
But we had a wonderful experience. I may have been there for maybe 8 or 10 years. I can't remember, before we moved to the house I now live in on 125 Plymouth Road, Newton Highlands.
Oh, in Newton Highlands. So what was it like being one of the first people moving into Oak Hill?
It meant that we could be participants in a brand new group of people, all interested in the betterment. You had to be as I say, my husband was a Newton resident.
Right.
That was a requirement for that area. So we were lucky enough to be there, and we just took a number and ended up at 11 Calden Path. So we ended up, well, the good thing was that it was a mixed area. So it wasn't, as I would say, the requirement was to be a veteran.
Right.
But other than that, we had all ethnicities,
Oh,
which
that's
was very
nice.
good.
Yes. And probably for that time more unusual.
Yeah.
What was it like when you moved to Newton Highlands? Was it diverse and young people, or?
That was just very nice. I've been in this house now for 50 years.
Oh, wow.
And as I'll tell you, the smile that I think when I moved in, I would report that an older woman lives across the street and an older woman lives next door. Now I'm that older woman. But I'm happy to be there.
Yes.
Having nice young neighbors, and I'm very comfortable there.
Right. What do you like about that neighborhood, about that section of Newton?
Yeah, I guess that just that you could have your privacy, and yet there was a sense of community there. And they had occasionally block parties. Not so much there as they had in Oak Hill Park.
Uh-huh.
But there were people. I mean, when you moved on, you automatically were in a different economic, so to speak, grouping.
Right.
But the house I'm in, I've been in for 50 years,
Wow.
and the amazing thing is, whoever would come and see me, if you look at the siding they put on the house, was put there 80 years ago.
Oh my.
It looks as though it was just installed.
Really?
It is absolutely an amazing thing to see.
It
So
is.
I'm inviting you. I'll be glad to give you. I'll be glad to give you coffee and my homemade mundle bread.
Oh, it sounds.
Anytime, just call in advance. I'm not a stay-at-home person, but I can stay at home.
That's
But
wonderful.
anyway, that's the amazing thing about this house.
Yes. And you love the neighborhood. Did you raise children in the house? Did you?
Yeah, of course, I had. At that time, I had 3 children. My daughter Carol, who now lives in Northampton. What is she? 68 years old.
Mm-hmm.
He's 69.
Would she mind your telling us?
What?
Would she mind your telling us her age?
She's beautiful in all ways. It's
I'm
not
sure.
an important issue
like
to
her mother.
Absolutely not an important issue.
Right.
Unfortunately, I lost my son Richard a little over a year ago.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And he was a very special young man that impacted on a lot of people's lives during his lifetime. And then I have a younger daughter who moved from New Jersey, is now setting up housekeeping in Dorchester with her family.
Nice.
So I have my grandchildren and great-grandchildren.
That's
nearby.
wonderful. And what schools did they go to? Were you involved in the school that they went to?
Oh, you growing up?
Yes.
Oh, they went to Meadowbrook Junior High.
Right.
That's where they went. And then both my older daughter went on to UMass Amherst, and Abby went to Framingham State College.
Mm-hmm.
And my son went to the College of Business. And became very successful in the automobile industry.
Right, right. And were you active in the school or in any
Yes,
organizations?
Yeah, just I did participate. I had always enjoyed being part of the activities that involve them. So I just did it as a matter of fact. It wasn't anything that I thought, oh, well, someday they'll ask me, did I ever do
Oh, no, of course.
So
but,
it was just something that was part of
that's good.
My involvement with my family.
Right, right. Any other community things that you remember or were important to you then and now?
Yeah, just as a young married, it was a special experience to live in Oak Hill Park, because the sense of community came as a fact that they all were veterans.
Right.
And so then, as a matter of fact, very important, my husband became a Boy Scout leader
Wow.
at that time, so participated in making that area worthwhile for the young people.
That's amazing. That's
Yeah,
wonderful.
well, everyone loved my husband. He was a very special gentleman.
So,
the word gentleman
yes,
reflected my birth.
Right, right. And any special events that you remember, either from there or Newton Highlands, anything in being in Newton for that period?
Well, in Oak Hill Park, we used to have block parties, things like that, but not so much in Newton Highlands. I think you transitioned from this group identification that we had in Oak Hill Park.
Right.
And I would say we had more of a private kind of interaction with our neighbors.
Right, right.
So,
So, any special best memories of living in Newton? You were originally from Brookline and then you became a Newtonite. What are some of the best memories of, in Newton, and you still making them?
well, I guess I think Newton has always offered many opportunities to enjoy different arts,
Yes.
and so that I have participated. I certainly commend them for their Sunday program that they have at the Newton Library.
Right.
So that I enjoy, and they have. I commend them for the senior center, which offers many different opportunities, as well as pretty things to pick up there once in a while.
They have things they sell. People come in and sell things.
And that, I'll have to admit, is one of my diseases. As she knows, I've got 4 things waiting for me to pick up now.
Oh, wonderful. All right.
Well, I like art, but my kids are going to curse me because I don't need another thing in my house.
Right.
But anyway.
It's not a matter of need. You enjoy it.
That's right. So.
What are some of the other activities at the senior center that you like and,
Well, as I say, I like the concerts. Well, there isn't, actually, I haven't found my milieu there, as a matter of fact, because I like to play bridge, and they play bridge at 9 o'clock in the morning.
Oh,
and
too early.
Well, it's not too early. It's not anything I have to get up. If there was a game at 1 o'clock, I would play. I've played bridge. My husband was a bridge player, so I would like it, but it's not anything. So I do go to the wait a minute. I'm trying to think where. Stupid.
No. Other activities that you.
No, by the hospital there, I go to play bridge there on Wednesday.
Not near Newton.
Oh, at the Temple Rayham.
Okay, near Newton Wellesley.
Yeah.
Not too
So
far.
So
Temple
on Wednesday
Rayham.
they have a program.
That's nice.
So.
Are you a member there? Are you active?
If I'm lucky, I find a partner and play bridge, and I put up my $11. That includes lunch.
Nice.
And it's very nice. It's a very organized kind of program there.
Okay, so you do get to play once a week, usually?
Yeah, I usually find a partner.
That's wonderful.
So that's the power of positive thinking.
Yes.
And that's what's going to be on my tombstone.
Well, that's
be
wonderful.
Be positive.
We like that.
So that you know all about me now.
Well, I don't know about that, but we're learning.
But my philosophy.
It's a wonderful philosophy.
Yeah.
That's why you have interests in so many things.
Yeah, well, they are. I like going to the museum. Trips. I try and take advantage of the various things that are offered.
That's wonderful.
And I don't feel constrained or restrained because of my age. I'm able to pick up and go.
Great.
So
it's wonderful, and you should continue for many, many years. What's been the biggest change you've noticed in Newton? You've been here, a long time, at least 50 years or more. What are some of the changes you've seen? I'm sure your neighborhood and
the obvious that there they've been building these McMansions there.
Yes.
I mean, that is part of the thing, and I'm not sure. Well, I guess the Newton tab keeps you pretty aware of what's going on in the city.
Right.
But I mean, you have to read it. You don't necessarily. If you didn't read the tab, you might not know what's being offered.
Right. Right. In terms of your neighborhood and your neighbors, have you noticed changes in kinds of people that have moved in, the mix of people?
As they say, there's the older woman lives across the street, and an older lady lives across next door. But you know, because of the age difference there, I observed that the younger people, they're not so young because they have grown-up children, but
Right.
they are professional people, so they're up and out of the house early holidays. So that's what I would observe, that the people that are in the 50s and 60s go to work and have their profession, so they're out of the house.
And was that different when you were raising your children?
Oh, sure. In Oak Hill Park, it was more at home and more community kind of thing.
Right.
This isn't that sense of community.
Right.
That's although they do try in my neighborhood to have a neighborhood party or a barbecue.
Right.
But I've gone, but I see the people there. Of course, they're all much younger, so I make my appearance and have my hot dog and move right along.
I'm sure they'd love your mandelbread, though.
I'm sorry. I'll remember to make them
no.
that. No, that's all right. You didn't volunteer. I'm volunteering.
And were more women staying at home when you raised your children at that time? You said now more are professionals. You noticed they're out of the house. Was it different when you first moved in?
Actually, raising my family, I was a traveling sales lady even when I had I had some of my children, because we were in a home craft industry that we developed, which was very interesting.
Oh, what kind of?
That started with my mother. Home industry, if you're not familiar with those times, was that we had, this is interesting, as a young married, we had offices in the arcade at Coolidge Corner.
Oh, yes.
And what we did is manufacture jewel cases and padded hangers. And the home industry was that we advertised for people that knew how to sew. And they came and we would give them the material, and they would make the items. And even though I didn't sew, we had jewel cases that had a piping around it. And if that piping wasn't perfect, they heard from me. I was a traveling sales lady back in my day.
So you kept up with the business even when you were in Newton.
Oh, so that then when I moved to Newton, I'm trying to think. Well, it existed for a time there, but not so much. Not so much. I was busy raising a family then.
Of course, of course. And who were the people that came to sew for you?
That was a fascinating thing. We just advertised in the paper for people that liked to sew. And we, as I say, it was interesting. We were in the arcade building, and we had people that came to sew to make these jewel cases that had a piping around them. And if the piping cording wasn't right, I didn't know how to sew. But I said it had to be perfect.
Right. Were they immigrants mostly,
yes,
or?
But nice people. And
yes.
They they enjoyed. It was a home industry.
Right.
That's what it was.
Right.
But it was successful.
That's good.
And I'll give you another smile, because when I was traveling and I was in Chicago, I went over. I think I could go across to Niagara Falls,
Oh.
and I went over. I went across there, and I'm going to tell you a secret. They're still looking for me. I snuck in 2 pair of Argyle socks for my husband.
That's
But,
funny.
anyway,
That's great.
I was a good traveling sales lady.
Yes. No, it sounds like it. How did your family come to Brookline? Were they born there, or?
My folks, my mother lived in Worcester, and my father lived in Lynn, and my father was in the candy business. Oh, if you want to know that, the place in Alston, I'm trying to think where, Gold Brand Confectionery Company
Oh,
used to be my
your father.
father's business.
That's amazing.
I'm trying to think. I think it's called Everett Street
Yes.
in Alston.
Oh, really?
Do you know that?
Vaguely, yeah.
Well,
That's
there's still
amazing.
that building
That's great.
exists. I forget what it is now, but that building exists where we had our business.
Okay, so they were born in the United States?
With my
Your parents?
dad, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, my mother grew up in Worcester.
That's great.
First family of Worcester. Yeah, they were a well-known family.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
That's terrific. So, what are some of the things that you enjoy doing, at that time? Fun in Newton? What were some of the activities that you remember doing with
you
your
mean,
family, your husband, yourself? Did they go ice skating on Bellows Pond? Did they go ice skating?
Maybe Britt did. I wasn't much of a. Wasn't much of a skater, but my daughters were more participatory. Richard was more into not sports. He was always interested in business
Mm-hmm.
and that kind of thing.
But what did you like doing at that time?
Oh, what when as a young married?
Yes.
Oh,
Or
the
even
same
later,
things
what
I
were some of
enjoy
the
now?
right?
I enjoy. Well, as I say, a young married, I was a traveling sales lady.
Yes, yes.
Which was interesting. Gave you an opportunity to meet different people and be successful. As I say, when I went over, I told you the story when I went into Niagara, Ontario. I snuck in 2 pair of Argyle socks for my husband. But a life I enjoyed. I enjoyed the community. I participated in my temple that I belonged. I went through Sunday school at Temple Israel in
Really?
Boston.
That's great.
Was confirmed.
Wow.
And then my children went to Temple Israel. So we all have a long association there.
Yes. Did things change there at Temple Israel? Did you notice changes? How many people belonged then, and what did you notice over time?
No, they're. Oh, I'm trying to think whether my family. Well, they all went through Sunday school there,
Mm-hmm.
and so that was their activity, and I think they are trying to develop that. I don't know whether they have quite as large an enrollment
Right. As they
today
did, right.
as they did when my family grew up there.
Right.
But it offered opportunities, and
It's great. It's still a very active community there, Temple Israel.
Definitely.
A lot of young people now.
But young people, and they try to draw them in by having various programs there.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
So
That's great. So
that is my story, and as you can tell, I'm endlessly interested and inquisitive. So I go and do.
it's
I'm not
wonderful.
a stay-at-home person.
No, it's wonderful. It's wonderful.
Yeah, no, I'm lucky.
Yeah.
I'm lucky. 'Cause,
You look wonderful.
I'm glad, because then you can take advantages of all the things that are around at the Museum of Fine Arts.
So you have a group who goes? You go with a group there?
No, sometime, but I don't. I'm not dependent on.
You go when you want to go.
If there's a program, or they may are going on a tour or something, I'll sign up for that. But I just now see there's a program there that I tore out that I saw when my daughter comes in. We'll do that. Or I enjoy going to symphony. That's my Friday afternoon activity.
Terrific. Yeah, they have a great program then.
Yeah, they do. You can buy a rush seat too.
Okay, good to know.
So no secrets in this world.
No, that's wonderful. Really, it's great.
Yeah, well,
you do.
if you've got an inquisitive mind and want to go and do, it's available
Right.
for all of us.
Right.
Some take advantage, some don't.
Right. Well, it's nice to see that you do. And is there anything else about Newton, about your neighborhood, about being here so long that you'd like to share?
I'm glad I'm still in my house.
Yes.
And it's
yes.
but the only observation I make is that all the neighbors, the young, even though they have grown children, the neighbors that are maybe in the 50s or 60s go off to work every day. Sure. Which,
right.
Once upon a time wouldn't be.
Right.
I was lucky enough to be able to go to museums or do
right.
that kind of thing.
Right.
But I see they're still involved in their profession, and the house is the neighborhood is probably quiet from 9 o'clock on.
Right.
So that's fine. But then I'm not at home looking out the window either.
Right. Which is also nice. It's great that you're still in your home.
Yeah, I enjoy it.
And you're able to maintain it and feel.
Yeah, my sicknesses I'm still acquiring. My kids are going to kill me. My kids, there are 4 things waiting for me.
Oh.
But that's
my
great.
Disease. You enjoy it. It's not a disease. It's wonderful that you have those interests and those activities. All right. Well, thank you so much for doing this today.
I thank you for being interested.
Really, thank you for sharing that, Shirley. A pleasure meeting you.
It was a pleasure for me to meet you, and thank you for wanting to add me to the Newton Historic Society.
No, it's wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. Really. Thanks for coming.
Well, listen, we'll have to make a date, or I'll have to remember to make a fresh batch of mandel bread.
Okay, I'll take you up on that.
Yeah, well, I'll do it. I'm ready to make it. It's the one recipe it's the only recipe I make. It was my father's sister recipe, Aunt Anne's recipe, and so that's my claim to fame, if it's any fame.
I hope your children
but
have
it's
the
got
recipe.
good ingredients.
It sounds wonderful. I hope your kids have the recipe too.
Well, pleasure meeting you.
Yeah, and thank you so much.
Well, I thank you for being interested.
Can we take a picture?